Go ahead and find a comfortable position and close your eyes. Now take a moment and imagine you're at the beginning of the path that leads down to the creek. As you stand there at the beginning of this path, in your mind, imagine what sounds you're hearing, how the sun feels on your face and body, how the air smells. You could even just take a moment, take a nice slow deep breath in, and imagine the air flowing into your lungs, how it smells, how it tastes. Just stand there for a moment at the beginning of the path. Now in your mind's eye, imagine that you're walking down the path now towards the creek. And as you walk, see if you can just notice the smells, the sounds, the foliage, maybe even the insects and the birds. As you walk down the path, in your mind's eye, to the creek. Now imagine you've come to the creek. You can hear the water. You can see it flowing around the round river rocks. Notice in your imagination if it feels cooler by the creek, if you're in the shade of a tree, what the air smells like. You can even imagine taking off your shoes and noticing what the ground feels like underneath your feet. And in your mind, I want you to find a place where you either can stand or sit by the edge of the creek. And as you're there by the edge of the creek, imagine what kind of animals or creatures are there. Imagine what the wind or the trees or the leaves sound like. Imagine the sound of the gurgling water as it flows around those round river rocks. You can just allow yourself to be in that moment in your mind for a few seconds. As you imagine yourself there by the creek, take a second, just notice your breathing. Imagine yourself breathing and noticing that breathing as you're by the creek. Now take a moment and check in with yourself as you stand by this creek. So you can just notice how you're feeling. What kind of physical sensations are showing up or have been showing up? What have you been thinking about? Or what's been on your mind? What emotions have been showing up? What memories have been showing up? What worries have been showing up? And as you sit there or stand by this creek in your mind, you think about these things, you can almost imagine that you're watching that creek, you're watching that water flow by, and you're noticing that there's little leaves or even flower petals floating on by around the river rocks and out of sight. If you want, you can simply take some of these sensations, these things they've been feeling physically, these emotions, these thoughts, these worries, these joyful things as well. You can just notice them and almost mentally put them on a leaf or put them on a flower. Just kind of let it float on by. You can just sit and watch them. And if your mind wanders, you can simply notice that or bring your attention back to being by that creek. And when you're ready, you can notice that you're ready. And I want you to imagine that path again that you came down to the creek on. You can say thank you to the creek and let it know that you'll be back. And in your mind's eye, you can walk back up that path. When you get to the end of that path, just take a minute and just sit in that sun for a sec. Imagine feeling the air on your cheeks and on your arms, feeling the sun, hearing the sounds that you recall from being at the beginning of that path. Thank the path, thank the creek, and think to yourself how you want to be towards yourself and towards others as you open your eyes and come back into the world. And whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes, but you can take your time too.